recording.
Sweet.
And who are you?
Denelle Grant.
Um, Denelle, do you have a middle name?
Marie.
Marie?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone by Marie?
No.
Okay. It's always Denelle. Okay.
Or Denny. My mom used to call me Denny.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nice. So, it's like everybody else. How did you start riding?
How did I start riding? So when I was in grad school,
Mm-hmm.
I had a mentor
Okay.
who liked to do outdoorsy things and liked to mountain bike. And so that's what we did when we went on a business trip one time. And then I did it again when I came back. And then I had good friends who got me interested in cycling, and then I bought a bicycle.
Okay. When you so wait, you do the mountain biking with the person you met in grad school. Like it was your mountain bike, or you?
We actually, I think the first time I went mountain biking was probably in Carlsbad, New Mexico. We were on a boondoggle trip. And
okay, right. Just like this, to do mountain biking while
yeah,
we're here. Okay.
Here, everyone, have a bicycle. Let's go around in circles, and please do not land on a cactus. It's kind of like a free for all. But there was another woman who was in the same program, and she liked to mountain bike, so rode with her a couple times and got a mountain bike.
Okay. So your mountain bike, the first bike you got was a mountain bike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you get this mountain bike. What do you decide to do with it? Like, what do you just like what do you start doing with the mountain bike? You just like ride around casually, racing?
No, I mean, like, you go around on trails.
Okay.
Really. So I was in College Park, Maryland, and I guess the closest places or some of the best places were kind of, I guess, around 270.
Okay.
There was a couple, like Schaefer Farms, and a couple areas where there are groomed mountain bike trails.
Okay. And so you'd go ride the trails. Were you just like, was that the person who still, this is after grad school?
So this is in grad school.
It's still grad school.
So I went and got a master's in geography, and that was when I first learned how to mountain bike.
Okay.
And then I decided to leave that program after my master's for a number of different reasons. But I went to William & Mary for my MBA, and I lucked into some really good friends whom like to do triathlon type stuff. So I did a little bit of mountain biking, bought a road bike, did some road biking, did a master swim program in Newport News.
Nice.
So there was a good community. So I was able to create some friends outside of the MBA program where like they like to do sporty stuff. So I used to go do sporty stuff with them.
Okay. Did you get any triathlons during that time?
Yeah, I actually, by the time I left business school, I was racing a lot of the Xterras.
Okay.
So I remember, like, I had these vague moments of, like, people from the Richmond area or the East Coast area who were doing triathlons at that time. Also when Forest Hill Park didn't have this, wasn't able to navigate the same way it is today, where the trails used to be.
Okay. So you're doing what made you decide to start? So you're doing some of the Xterra races. What made you decide to do so your friend just like, what was the decision to do that first race? Was just like, hey,
I know how to mountain bike, I know how to swim, and I know how to run, so why can't I just put it all together?
Okay. And how'd it go? Do you recall like how that first
Oh,
race
pretty
went?
well.
Really?
Yeah, okay. I did pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And were you doing this? So I guess you did some training, right? You'd done some training at that point before that? Or did you just like, I've done these 3 things, I put them together in this event? Or did you kind of train for the event once you kind of decided you were going to go? Do you recall?
I'm not usually a person who trains for an event.
Okay.
For the early part of my like athletic career, I just liked staying fit and doing things and challenging myself.
Okay.
Like, and it doesn't have to be a race. I like doing well at a race, but I also like doing, see what I can do, what my capacity is.
See what you're capable of. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you start doing the races.
Yep.
You're doing well in these races, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think I should start doing bigger races, or just like you just stay local kind of races kind of thing? Or
I did like a national championship and some of the bigger Xterra races. Like there was one in Richmond. There's a couple of them on the East Coast. They're the large, larger ones that they had. I mean, back then they actually had this is probably like 2003. They had a huge series.
Okay.
Xterra races that had a huge following. They had lots of money, lots of pros. So I did enough to, be one of the top amateurs, but didn't really want to train to be anything more than that.
Okay.
Because I would probably not be able to do other things I like to do as well.
Okay. Okay. So not training, but just staying ready.
Staying ready.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you still do triathlons?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, if somebody said, "Come on, let's do a triathlon," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, sure."
Just show up and do one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worry about my knees a little bit right now, but I'm usually okay with some of these short ones.
Okay. All right. So Xterra, you start doing those races.
Though I will tell you, when I left business school, I had a job offer, and I kept pushing off the entire summer. Mm-hmm. So that's when I had friends up in the Baltimore area who hooked me up with new friends.
Okay.
And I got into 24-hour mountain biking.
Okay. Yes, please tell me of the 24-hour mountain biking. It seems really unreasonable. But yes.
No, I mean, there's different ways of doing it, and I've dabbled with it over periods of time. But it was my first exploration of like staying up way too long. Mm-hmm. It was actually a 4-person girl team.
Okay.
And between 4 girls, we alternated laps around a set mountain bike course for 24 hours.
Okay. How long was this course? So wait, it was just do as much as you can in 24 hours. Is that
It's the number of laps 4 people do in 24 hours.
Okay. Was there any kind of strategy at all for this thing? Just
it's kind of like get on. As soon as one person finished, make sure there's another person at the line so you can do another lap and do the best you can.
So wait. Okay.
So think about a Ragnar. Like you like to run. It's kind of a Ragnar, but like for mountain biking.
Okay.
So 4 people, 24 hours, as many laps as you can do.
But I guess the question was, did like one person finish a lap and then the next person went?
Correct.
It was not like this one person did like as many laps as they could and then the next person.
No, I've done that one too.
Okay, you've done them both ways. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as we talk, we'll talk about it. But like every couple of years, I like to try something new.
Okay.
So I've dabbled with, 24-hour racing, 18-hour racing, 12-hour racing, 5-hour lap racing for mountain bikes. I've done adventure racing, either the 1 hour, 3 day, the 1 day or 3 day format. What else? Cyclocross. I've done cyclocross for periods of time. I'm still doing it.
Okay.
I dabble. Gravel racing.
Okay.
I've road raced a little bit.
Okay.
Don't particularly like it or think I'm qualified for it. I'm amazed when I see people out road riding and road racing. I think they're super tough. And like, I ask my road friends, like every once in a while, can you teach me how to turn a corner? So last year I tried dabbling a little bit on bike packing.
Okay. How'd that go?
Cool. Interesting.
Okay.
You learn a lot about yourself and your friends.
I would imagine so. How long was the trip?
I think there was 5 days or 4 days. We did a friend and I did the Gap Trail in the Messina Canal.
Okay.
And we didn't rough it out. Like we actually stayed at places like Airbnbs and hotels along the way. But each leg was like somewhere between like 75 miles.
Nice.
It was about average about 75 miles.
Okay.
I think Jessica Connolly, who's been here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She and I did the Greenbrier Trail.
Okay.
Which was kind of cool. So we rode the 75 miles there, got a hotel room, had margaritas and burritos, and then we turned around and did it the next day.
Yeah.
But again, like just carrying your stuff with you and riding for periods of time. I think I'd like to do a little bit more of that, but it's cool.
The bikepacking, okay. Did you buy all the stuff, or did you like get stuff from people for that?
I got stuff from people.
Okay.
But I then bought it.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you buy the same stuff that you'd use, or did you like buy different stuff than what you actually borrowed and used?
I bought different stuff mostly because it was availability.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot available.
Ah, yeah.
And I also like to be like thrifty. So it's also like I'm not paying full price for everything all the time.
Okay.
I think the only type of racing I can think of that I really haven't had a lot of experience is stage racing.
Stage racing? Okay. All right. So you mentioned a lot of different types of, from 5-hour mountain bike racing, 24-hour mountain bike racing, 12-hour mountain bike racing. Is there a preference, or is it just like, is all of it awesome? You want to do all of it? Is there something like you really look forward to these kind of races, kind of thing?
I think more than anything, like I like a whole lot of racing and I like different courses over periods of time.
Okay.
I like the people.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what I think I've come across over periods of time is, you know, just finding nice networks of people that you really enjoy because you end up doing, they're networks of people who end up doing the same types of races and rides. And so if you find a good mix of people, sticking with them for a period of time. Yeah.
Okay. So the community that you're racing, the people you're riding with, racing with, rather.
Yeah, especially if you're doing stuff in the where you don't have it. If you're doing stuff in the wilderness in particular, it's really important because people will need to haul you out if something goes wrong or they need to trust you a little bit. So just nice really kind of enjoying the people who you're around.
Okay, all right. So the people, and that's a question I asked later is like, why do you keep doing it? And I guess that contributes to the people. The people, I mean, I think that's also challenge.
Too is like, if you're talking about racing in particular, like every once in a while, it's amazing when you can turn your mind off. There's a stopwatch, so you kind of should be pushing yourself a little bit more, and you don't have to think about where you're going to go.
Okay.
Like there's something magical about that.
You're just on the course, just pushing.
Yeah, like there's a course. Somebody's telling you exactly. You don't have to make decisions. Do I go left or right or why? Like it's dictated for you.
Yeah.
You're just there to do
put the energy out.
Whatever they tell you to do.
Yeah. That's I can understand, but that's the first I've heard someone just, cop to just, I don't call it the mindlessness of it, but the being able to just like getting in the zone of like, I've got this course, and that's what I'm on.
For good, bad, whatever. Just, you don't have to make decisions about where you're going. You get to make the decisions about how you get there, how quickly you can get there, what you're doing, and then anything else that goes in your mind.
Okay. So, I guess tell me of a race or ride. We'll go with the race first.
Okay.
That you felt really accomplished after finishing the race. Let's go with like the first time. One of the earliest times you can remember like finishing a race and was like, this feels just amazingly awesome kind of thing.
So.
And maybe there's lots of them.
Well, I mean, there's bits and pieces of them. I think one of them that I raced the new series one year.
Okay. Not familiar with that. Okay.
National Ultra Endurance Series.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So back when I was doing it, there were only 100-mile mountain bike races.
Okay.
And you had to finish, I think you had to finish either 4 or 6 of them.
Okay.
I'd have to figure it out. I think, or maybe there was, I can't remember. I mean, it's been a number of years at this point, but I did a race in particular where I don't know what happened. Like things started clicking, and I went faster than a whole bunch of other girls.
Yeah.
And beat a bunch of pros, and it just felt good. And it was also kind of one of the first times where you ever spontaneously cry. Like you're just so emotionally drained, where like at the end of the of whatever you do, you like cry and laugh at the same time, and you have no idea what's going on, but your body is like doing all of these crazy things. And yeah, and I've mentioned those types of, not everyone's had that experience, but I've mentioned it before to people. And then a few years ago, I helped somebody with the SM100, and they had that same experience of,
yeah, and they understood. I've not had that experience, but I know of others who have. I know of others who've just like, for some reason I think of people running, and I know of a few people who've finished like some marathons, and like that's the result of it, like an end of a marathon. So I can understand it, yet of not to experience such flood of emotions. We'll just call it that. So with you doing so well, particularly in that particular race and others, are you on a racing team? Have you been on a racing team?
I'm on Koki.
Oh, okay. When did you join the team?
8 years ago.
Okay. How does that happen? How'd you end up on a racing team? Like, you just like, yeah, well, how'd that happen?
Clint is an amazing mechanic who fixes my bike, and I'm very loyal to very good mechanics who fix my bike well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not really mechanically inclined. I know enough to be dangerous, and I've had some really good friends over as I've learned how to cycle who've helped me through.
Okay.
Specifically some of my friends in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
They used to make fun of me when I was at the bike shop and trying to do work on my bike. But fast forward, I depend on others to help me with my bicycles. You want them to run well. I want them to run well. I am okay with just pedaling and knowing enough to get by.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask here, how far does this go? Okay. In bike maintenance things, just to ask like what you would be comfortable. I'll start with this race. Can you change a tire?
Yeah.
Okay. Change a tire. Do you have, so change a tire, maintain your chain, like clean your chain, oil your chain?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta be somewhat capable. Like, I saw a girl at Monster Cross who, punctured a tire even this past year, and was sitting on the side like.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? No, I mean, you've got to be able to be somewhat self-sufficient. Like, I've helped clinics before too of just, hey chicks, this is what you need to know at least to be safe. You can't fix everything, but at least you should have some working knowledge. Like, yeah, do you need to fix a chain? Yeah, I can totally fix a chain.
Okay.
Am I going to blade a brake? No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to pray somebody else does.
Okay.
Am I going to change? I mean, can I change my the pads on my brakes?
You don't want to, but you're capable of.
Well, I also say that I've made mistakes before too. Like, I've had dirty hands when I was cleaning brakes, and some oil got on the brake pad, and it looked fine, but it really wasn't fine.
Disc brakes, calipers, disc brakes. Okay, wait.
Hydraulic discs.
Okay. That's all I actually know how to work on, because I've not used caliper pads on bikes.
Yeah. Those are vintage now.
They are. Do all your bikes have disc brakes? Okay. So it sounds like you prefer.
I like nice things every once in a while. I have a lot of bikes.
Have you sold any bikes?
Yeah, I just sold one in Pro's closet.
Okay. Does the selling happen when there's too much space, or you've already got a bike that does this? Like, when is it? When did you make the decision? When do you make the decision? Like, I'm gonna get rid of this bike.
When there's something bright and shiny at the bike store, and they're like, well, we have a extra one that just happens to be your size, and if you really want it, and if I get it off my floor, I can give it. Yeah, no. I there's a combination of a couple things. I mean, like, want, need, and also, like, does it make sense to just? I have a single spade. I haven't used it in a while, but I know. I mean, if anyone wants it, they're like, I'll make a deal. But it does. Single spades don't have a lot of value. So I can either use it as an extra bike if somebody comes to town, or an inexpensive bike for commuting or something else if I so choose. So it's, do I get rid of it? I mean, I could, but I don't necessarily need the space.
Does that bike have the option of being fixed gear, or is it's just single speed?
I don't really know. I'm sure people can make anything a fixed gear if they want to. God bless America. I don't understand why people would want a fixed gear, but unless they're on a track.
Somebody somewhere wants a fixed gear.
They do, but like, they want to be cool. So they want to be cool.
Yeah.
They think a fixed gear is going to get them there. Like, I'm thinking more Richmond. I'm not thinking about like velodrome stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a person who wants a fixed gear because it's like, I'm cool. I can track stand at a light, and I'm so cool.
My first bike that I had as an adult was a single speed that had a hub. You could flip the wheel and it would be a fixed gear. And yes, I did think I was cool riding that bike.
It's because you went to VCU.
There's a chance of that had some influence on that. Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Okay. So the coming of going bikes is just like need. It's kind of, or you see something shiny. New bike.
Need, and then kind of want.
Bike. Okay.
I mean, it's like this year I bought a gravel bike. It was about time because I was trying to use a cross bike.
Okay. To
go up big mountains, and it's not geared for it. It's just not okay.
Okay. So this is your first gravel bike?
My first gravel bike.
How different does it feel? Does it feel like it's like a whole nother setup, or is it just a bike with wider tires?
Oh no, like it's a Cadillac. Like it's driving a Cadillac versus, a race car.
Okay.
That's what it feels like.
Okay.
To me. Like I feel like I have wider turns. Or a cross bike, I can wedge myself in there and I can move the bike around. Like, I think of it as a hardtail.
Okay.
Mountain bike where, it's fine for gravel. It's fine for, grass. Like, cross bikes, you just put wherever you need to put them.
Yeah.
No, this is like an ultra. This is like your, that person who had the comfortable sedan that you knew growing up, where you just sat in the pleather seats and you just kind of cushed in there, and you're like, nice, I love the Caprice Classic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I used to drive an Oldsmobile 88. It's very comfortable. Very comfortable. I mean, it was like driving a tank / boat. It was, it was very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Either way.
I know. It's like, what decade are we talking about now?
Yeah. Okay. So there's lots of bikes.
Yeah.
Those bikes do different things. How many? Well, I won't ask the how many because it's not a thing we need to go over. But there's a road bike somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's on my trainer.
It's on your trainer. Okay. Now that you mention your trainer,
it's blue.
It's blue. What the bike is blue? Okay.
Yeah. The other part about selling bikes is I'm not really good at like, is it this cassette or that cassette? Like, I don't speak that language.
Okay.
I nod when people are like, oh, I've got like a 50. Ooh, that's great. Wow.
that's like, not a thing. You're not keeping up with all the technology that might be on the bike, and yeah.
I mean, like up until like probably about a few months ago, I was like, ooh, electronic shifting. I'm gonna have to plug it in. It's one more thing to plug in, and before I like go to ride, and I'm like, now I'm like, oh man, I'm missing out. Like, wow, I'm so behind the 8 ball on that one.
Have you tried electronic shifting?
On a mountain bike around my friend's yard.
Okay.
It's pretty sweet. But I haven't done it for like, you know,
like a long ride kind of thing. Yeah, I've got it on the Grizzle. You saw the Grizzle, right? It's smooth. It's smooth, but you don't get with the road, because it's a road bike experience, like you don't get the full click in the things, the shifters. You don't get a full like press them in kind of thing. It's like it's a button, boop, boop, boop. Yeah, boop, and then they shift. Which also can mean that if you hit a bump and you now shifted, because your hand hit the thing. But are they great? Are they nice? They are very smooth, and supposedly they are. One of the benefits is supposed to be that they there's no cable stretch issue. Like it's just going to be the same shift all the time, every time, provided the batteries are running or charged. Which reminds me, I need to plug in mine.
Yeah, you should plug it in. Well, see, I've been running into cable stretch issues because sometimes I do this mashing thing. Mm-hmm. I get, stand up on the pedals and go real fast for a period of time, and I'm like, oh, new bike, cable stretch. Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And there are great mechanics that can help you understand what your bike does for whenever you might, or what your bike has, all the things. So that's probably not there's probably some knowledge of like knowing what kind of gearing you have on your, like it's helpful to know whether you've got a big enough cassette for some hills. That might be useful, right?
I mean, let's be honest. I'm a chick. So guys want to tell me constantly what I need for cycling, which I think is funny because I actually do appreciate it, but it's amazing how hey, you need this, blah blah blah. Or you should like spin more. You should like blank, or that's cool. Whatever. I do the same thing for people too, like where it's all about sharing tips anyway. But yeah, but yes, there are great mechanics who will help figure out what I need every once in a while.
Awesome.
And sometimes I go in like into the bike store, like remember Car Talk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Click and clack.
Mm-hmm.
My bike sounds like chuck, chuck, chuck. Can you help me?
How often does that sound accurate? Are they like, oh, I know what that is?
Enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Enough.
What's the most work you had to get done on a bike? If you're taking one in, is it normally just like regular? Oh, like I just need the cables adjusted and or have you ever had to get some really major work done on a bike?
I mean, I probably have. I mean, every once in a while, like a fork needs to get rebuilt or something else. But I mean, I'm surprisingly gentle on bicycles.
Okay.
I can go through a rear cassette like nobody's business. I don't know how I do that, but that does happen.
Yeah.
Especially on my mountain bikes, which I probably should. Now that you're reminding me, I need to go talk to somebody about that. But I mean, remarkably, I'm pretty gentle. Like, I don't typically break frames. I don't typically like taco wheels, though I've done both of those in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's being a girl, it's not like we're putting a lot of weight on a bicycle. And with the sizes, I mean, we're typically on the smaller sizes as well. Right. So, those welds and pressure points are not as significant. So
as stressed. Okay. Oh, where was I going with the mechanics? So you go to Coquille, you get most of your work done. Okay. All right. Trainer.
Yeah.
Right. Because your blue bike or blue road bike is on that. Yeah. When did that happen? When did you decide to start riding indoors? When did that happen?
Well, I mean, anyone want some rollers or a Non-smart trainer. Now, I mean, I've had those non-connected ones for a while.
Okay.
But I got the connected ones, I think when I was rehabbing my knee.
Okay.
I had a torn meniscus and needed it to be rehabbed.
Okay.
So.
And so that's when you got a smart trainer.
Yeah, and I was mostly doing it in the wintertime and then CrossFit during the rest of the year. So when I couldn't do CrossFit, I was doing trainer.
Okay. Because I am a fan of Zwift. When did you start using Zwift?
When I got the smart trainer.
Oh, so you got the smart trainer, fully got into it. Okay. What did you think of it? Just like, this is just a thing to have, or like, did you feel like, oh, this is very cool? Like,
it was totally cool.
Okay.
I mean, it was like the first thing you do, and like 20 minutes in, like the first couple times, you're like sweating, and you're like, oh my gosh, why is this so painful?
There's no coasting.
There's no coasting. Yeah. Which is also something I wasn't.
You don't think about when you first get on the trainer. Like, I can't coast.
Yeah.
There's no like, because it stops real quick if you stop pedaling.
Well, and depending on where my interests lie, like I may not do a lot of road biking on the road. So at least for me, it's holy crap, I have to keep pedaling up this hill, or I have to keep pedaling on a flat, or I have to keep pedaling versus the, more gradual hills, and you can let off and on, and it's more technique. And that also hides a lot of things. I mean, you don't have to you work as hard, but you don't have to work the same way.
Yeah, there's no bumps. There's no rocks to go over. There's none of that. There's no like, I need to worry about my cornering.
Though, have you done the mountain bike part?
I have not yet.
You could totally hack that. You take a Lazy Susan and put your the thing your wheel is on. Yeah. And then you can steer that way.
My friend Josh, I think, did that. I think he put it like on a plate or something like that. He put like a paper plate or something on the ground and went up that thing. And I've yet to do it. And I could do it with the kicker bike because it's got there's little buttons on the inside that will do the turning for you, and you just kind of press the button and it'll veer left or right.
It's not the same thing as actually moving your handlebars, though.
It is not. Yeah, it is absolutely not. And I actually don't like the steering in Zwift. I actually don't ever use it. Every time I connect the thing, the kicker bike, it will automatically sync the turning thing, and then I disable it because I want to just be able to ride through people. I don't want to have to turn.
I want to be hands free sometimes.
Yeah, I don't want to have to bother or think about that as well when I'm riding and trying to do different paces and stuff like that. Because when you connect the turning device of some kind, you no longer ride through people. You have to turn around.
That's terrible. I totally like to ride through people. There's just something magical about that.
It is very magical. There's no collision at all.
I know. Like at some point, you just want to like give him an elbow or something, or push him over.
You have several bikes. Do you have like loyalty to any particular brands, or just like whatever seems to be cool you've gotten, kind of thing?
I have a lot of Giants.
Okay.
I do. I bought a Cannondale recently.
Okay.
For my full suspension, so I have two full suspensions. I've got a Cannondale, and I've got a Giant.
Okay.
The Cannondale is because, again, a girlfriend of mine in Charlottesville decided she was going to buy a whole bunch of Cannondale bikes, and then I try them, and then I'm like, I want one too. And luckily, she and her husband are actually very good mechanics, so awesome. It's great too because she helps out on mechanic work. Okay.
So wait, you bought your own Cannondale, not one of hers?
Yeah, but I have to buy. She won't let me have her bikes. She's got more bikes than I do. I
know other people that have lots of bikes. I've not gotten there to have multiple bikes, particularly the same kind of bike, but I understand that you do. Like, people like to have multiple bikes.
Well, I mean, I think there's, at least for me, I always think that for a mountain bike, I need a backup because
sure, right, you ride them enough.
there's always something is always breaking or cleaning or tweaking or whatever else, and it's always nice to have something where you're like, if you're going to make that trek out to the mountains or you're going to make that investment or anything you're going to do, you have something that you could send off a fork if you need to, or something to be rebuilt or fixed and cleaned, and you don't have to give up that ability just to be in the woods,
right?
Which I think is key. And I think that strategy kind of pays off in the sense that, like, if shops are backed up or parts are hard to get, you still have you still have the ability to be out there.
You still have a bike to ride. Yeah.
It's not. I don't know if it's the same way with with road and gravel bikes. I mean, I think there's a lot of options on parts. I mean, there's a lot more available. I personally would rather be in the woods.
I don't feel like there's a shortage on parts that I would need for my bikes yet. Are they more expensive now? Yes. There was a time I think I was like, either way, I think there was a shortage, not shortage, but like it took a while to get tires. I think I was getting some new Continentals, and I think there was like a shortage of them or something like that. And I think it's the only shortage I couldn't get it like immediately kind of thing.
So I don't know if it's exactly true, but I feel like people can keep a road bike for a very long period of time, and the technology changes like small increments. And the amount of abuse and damage you do to a road bike could be like pretty minuscule, where the opportunity of damaging a mountain bike is so much greater.
I can agree.
Where and the technology changes a lot. I mean, if you think about it, even a mountain bike, and there's a whole bunch of them that are like the full suspension mountain bikes. There's a lot of parts of your bike that are like moving at any given time.
Yeah.
Whether it's the frame, the pivot, and where it attaches at the pivot points. I mean, you are really close to trees. It's always an opportunity to slide into those guys and get a closer look. I mean, I think also, like, if you think about the conditions, like mud and sand and silt, and I mean, there's a lot more there.
Yeah.
So I think there's always a need for a second mountain bike. Not that I'm justifying to myself. I just think that it's a good strategy to have, whether or not it's two different ones or the same one twice.
In the case of mountain bikes, you make a good argument, because there's a greater chance, because of the type of riding that bike kind of calls for damage to occur to the bike. So it could be more beneficial in the case of mountain biking and off-roading to have a second bike. In that case, I can agree. I will agree and say yes. I will say there's a greater potential of benefiting from that. Because shit will happen more often riding through the woods than riding on very smooth tarmac kind of thing.
You're lucky if you get to ride smooth tarmac, let's be honest. Have you seen the roads out there? Just kidding.
That's what Zwift is for.
No, sorry.
It's very smooth tarmac all the time, except if you're in the Mayan area.
Or that one gravel thing in McCurry Island. There's an off-road up there. It's on the hills. It's between the two castles.
There is a gravel road. That's right. And it's uphill. There's an uphill section on that. I mean, of course, you can go down the hill. Yeah. And it's a short, I think, is that Chain Jumper? Either way, clearly it's a road. Yes, I know. I do recall the road. I have not memorized McCurry Islands yet, but I know all of Watopia. Despite having them, I know all the roads in Watopia, what's your gravel, what to avoid.
It's so weird when you're like, I should probably turn left right now. And like you're in, I mean, do you ever realize that you're like in this fake world and you're just like, I totally know where I'm at. I totally know where I am.
For me, I mean, clearly I know it's a game all the time, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, I know what the terrain is. I know where I'm at. I know it's so far to get to the next place. And I get fairly immersed into it, but I'm also a rehabilitated gamer. So like, it's easy for me, to be like, oh, this is like a video game I'm playing with my bike. And so I do get quite into it, and start noticing the details. There's a sloth in the Mayan area. If you ride through, there's a sloth who's kind of hanging around. And there's a roadrunner in Fuego Flats. If you ride around, you will kind of catch a roadrunner riding along the terrain somewhere. But clearly, I've ridden along in Zwift quite a bit. So yes, I get into it. So,
I saw something new, and I can't remember what I saw, but it was in the
keep doing that. Now we'll cut the light on.
The what's it called? The one that looks like Muir Forest, or excuse me,
the forest,
the national park.
Right, because it's one of the routes is Mirror the Mountain, and right, that's a forest area. I know what you're talking about, the forest with the giant redwoods.
I can't. I always think, I'm like, is that supposed to be like Yellowstone, or is that supposed to be like Northern California? I never quite figure out.
I would go with, because the trees are huge, so it's redwoods, and I don't know where all redwoods exist other than California. I've never seen.
So, and I'm convinced there's parts of.
But there's dinosaurs as well, so that's clearly nowhere else.
Yeah. I'm convinced there's parts of that actual course that is a lot of US based. Because that flat desert area reminds me an awful lot of a Palm Desert. And the dinosaurs look like the Sinclair dinosaurs. That's a gas station chain. If you go to downtown and you see that the Ferris wheel, there's that Ferris wheel in what is it called? It's north of Santa Barbara.
Yes, there are in Watopia, because it is a mashup of several different environments. And I do know they hark on pulling real world areas in some kind of way.
But aren't they based in Marina Del Rey? So.
Right. It's an actual geological. I mean, it's an actual location, like the GPS.
So I think their headquarters are in Marina Del Rey, which is in California. So I'm thinking that some of these guys are pulling. So I used to live in California. So I've lived around, throughout the country. Like, I lived in California, I lived in Florida, I lived in Colorado, and I grew up in Maryland. Obviously, I'm in Virginia. I've lived here a couple of times too. But I literally I know some of the roads in some of those areas out near Marina Del Rey. Mm-hmm. So like, I think about, those people who are developing it, what roads are they seeing and what things are they seeing? Right,
inspiring them to do that.
Yeah.
Titans Grove.
Okay.
Titans Grove is the name of
the place,
the wooded area with the trees. And I just thought about why you would think is that modeling after Yellowstone, because there are not tar pits, hot springs or something like that. Like
those gas pools and
yeah. So it could be a mashup of both of those kind of areas. But I'm pretty sure we could find out what they base it on if we
Palm Desert. My bet is the flats are Palm Desert, and then I can't remember what is the place that has it's in California. I did half Ironman there. What was it called? Santa Cruz. No.
All right.
Either way.
We will see. I will look that up and get back to you later. What those
we can make bets on it. I don't know. That's just my opinion on some of those.
It's okay. It's all right. So you mentioned you only have 3 routes left in Zwift.
Yeah, I have a crazy idea where I don't know why I came up with it, but I'm going to do all the routes now I've got to do it now if I say it. I'm going to do all the routes
it's recorded now.
In Zwift. And so I'm down to 3. I'm down to a special one that I need for event base, and you told me that earlier. Mm-hmm. And then one in Watopia and one, I think it's in
Puro Full.
Yeah, which one is that?
The Puro Full is in London.
I freaking hate that one.
Mega Pretzel, I think was the other one you said.
Yeah.
Mega Pretzel. So you got the Uber Pretzel under your belt then.
Yeah, I got one of the
Uber's like the biggest one. You end up going up the aisle. Okay. Oh, if you've done that, then Mega Pretzel.
Another word. Yeah. I went through this thing this year where I got over that mental block of I can do this more than an hour. So
okay. Yeah.
Up until a couple of years ago, I'm like, over an hour? What are you, crazy? And I have Raynaud's, so I had a really bad winter.
Okay.
Where I wasn't really able to go out and ride at all. Mm-hmm. So spend some time on the trainer.
When you kind of got over like I can ride for an hour, did you pick like a super big route to get over it, or did you just rode, just like click ride and you just rode for longer?
It was a kind of a winter training series that
you signed up or something?
I signed up, and they gave you weeks of little challenges of like, go ride, do your longest ride, or how far can you climb this week, either indoors or outdoors. Okay. And they would leave these open-ended questions, and people just work together of, look what I did. So it was it was a nice kind of gamification of just getting a little bit of training done. Okay.
Yeah, whatever motivates you to keep pedaling, indoors or outdoors. Have you done any races on
Zwift? If you call the tours races, I do. I treat those as like full on out. Like, I will work harder when it's a double draft than I will ever work. Like, there was at least one race where I'm like, oh my God, make the pain stop. Yeah.
Well, that's clearly you've done Zwift racing is not like outdoor racing.
No.
But yes, you're right. There are some people who do the events, the Zwift events, and they treat it like a race. They come out the gate, super hot and race the whole thing. And it's pretty safe.
Except for when you spill your coffee on the floor, which I did this past week.
Why would you spill your coffee on the floor? Wait, you had the coffee while you were riding?
Yeah, don't you?
No.
Oh, yeah. See, I get up early and I ride in the morning.
Ah, okay. I saw that too.
Yeah, I usually try to do it before work, and I had a full cup of coffee, and like I'm in the middle of a race, and I'm like, I literally spilled it. I got a towel, cleaned it up, and like within like 2 minutes or whatever, and I was able to jump in towards the end. It was painful, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, I do not. I actually rarely drink coffee. But yeah, I would not during a Zwift race, or event. But to each their own,
Well, I have a desk too, so I kind of sit it on top of my handlebars, where I can actually grab them, but also, I can leave stuff on top.
Okay.
Because I sometimes, work or
Wait, while Zwifting.
While on Zwift.
Okay.
Pedaling one way or another.
Okay. All right. And we'll pause here. Okay. All right. And we're back.
Yeah, we're totally back.
Yeah. So you've done some Zwift. You've done some events, which you still ride hard in the events.
I'm getting older though. When I start realizing, like, I was at a race this weekend and like two of the girls were like 17 and they're so fast, and then like another girl is like 25 and she's so fast, and then somebody else is like 34 and they're so fast. I'm like, oh my God, like two of you. I'm still older than two of you combined. Or like, yeah, wow.
So I asked, how do you feel about that? Do you feel better for them? Do you feel just bad? Like, we get the
like,
privilege.
I think it was a struggle for a couple of years of like, man, how do I hold on? But I'm happy. I think I'm excited that there's a whole bunch of, kids who are really interested in cycling. Okay. And I think it's great that they're fun. I think it's important they also kind of learn, technique and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. What I mean by that is like, just how to talk to people, like on the trails or during rides, how to communicate that, people are passing, some just good skills and so forth. So I think that's quite important.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about, like, there's a whole group of people who are learning a lot more. So.
Because you've been doing this for a little while. How do you feel like anything is different about the races you go to? Like does anything seems different than when you were doing racing when you started?
Yeah, I got slower. I mean, that was different. I was a lot faster, in my 30s than I am in my 40s. For sure. Okay. I mean, there was periods of time where I was like, I would get out from a race and go home and go run. Like,
yeah,
I was invincible. And then now I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I need to go home and stretch and then mow the lawn. But
responsibilities.
No, there's responsibilities, but it's also like, I do notice that I need a lot more rest days. I need to think about things a little bit more. Yeah.
But I think that's inevitable. That's inevitable.
Oh yeah, well that just hit me like a ton of bricks at one point.
Okay. But I suppose if everyone will have to deal with that in some ways, maybe we deal with it in one season, like it's a winter, and we forget that our abilities are not what they were because we aren't riding as much, and I think we all have to deal with our skills not being where they were, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Our abilities not being where they were.
But I think one of the nice things too is what I've gotten to learn is, hey, whether it's at some of these events or, whatever it is that having to do with cycling, is that it's just a bunch of people who either paid money to do this thing or whatever else. Mm-hmm. You got to have fun with it. If you're on the line, there's so, like, you can be as serious as you want to, but the reality is, like, when it's all said and done, we're a whole bunch of people who've got other priorities in our lives, have other things going on in our heads.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is supposed to be fun. Like,
it should be fun.
It should be
decided
totally
to be a challenge. It should still be enjoyable. And
so, like, if there's a chance where I might tell a joke on the line, I will totally tell a joke on the line, or But it's what I've learned is it's about having fun, and you have to have fun, and not take it too seriously, because let's be honest. In any given ride or any given race, there is probably a heck ton of people who are faster or better or have better techniques. They just didn't show up that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're that person who did that one day.
Yeah. And
replicating it is probably damn near impossible, because you're never gonna have their bike the exact same way. I mean, the course is, may not be sunny, or maybe a big wind, or you might have some other issues going on. But whatever it is, like, you just have to be okay with it.
Okay. Enjoy it. Okay. On that, tell me about a ride, because I can't imagine that they were all just immensely enjoyable, like about a ride that it just sucked.
Yeah. I've had a couple of those.
Any particular events or things like that? Like you said?
No, I remember one time, probably last year, I was riding up, so over by Devil's Back Brewery. Mm-hmm. There's some gravel riding that happens in that area, and I was riding up gravel roadways that get you up to the parkway.
Okay.
And I don't know what the frick happened, but, like, my mind wasn't into it. Like, I was just having that day where you're like, your mind doesn't work, your legs don't work. Like, you just really just want to sit on the side of the road and just, like, pout for a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was the first time in a long time I actually sat on the side of the road and pouted. And it was kind of okay afterwards, but, like, yeah,
You took a moment.
It doesn't happen a ton. I usually am okay with it, or I just like, oh, this sucks. But I do feel like I have the mindset to, like, where I overcome a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I was my mind was not in a good place.
Were you riding with others, or were you just out there solo?
Yeah, I was riding with somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, there were witnesses.
Well, you survived that incident. You sat down. You
barely. And most of it is because, you get yourself... The nice thing about riding at some point, too, is you get yourself into it. There's really hard to get yourself out of it. Like, there's nobody... When you go out and ride on a regular basis, there's no sag wagon. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you got to get yourself back home. Right?
Yeah, I've slept on the side of a road when I was really tired before. Like,
really?
Bit off more than I could chew. Yeah, I've taken naps on the side of the road. You got to get yourself back.
How big a ride was that? Like, how big a ride is that you like take a nap?
It all depends. Like, there's a culmination of a lot of things. I think I was overtrained, just had done too much. It was a lot of climbing. I remember I was relatively new to Charlottesville when I lived there, and I was just really tired. So it was great to take a nap. So I took a nap. And I'm a terrible napper, so I know I was really tired.
Okay. I'm glad you were able to get some rest.
But you got to get home somehow. So if you're struggling that much, maybe you just need a nap.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose that's also the first time I've heard of someone that wasn't bikepacking that like you took a nap mid-ride.
Yeah, I needed to rest.
Down. Okay. That was probably for the best. If you were able to go to sleep, that was probably for the best.
I don't think I slept long, but I just kind of laid there.
Any kind of time would have been useful. I assume you go on vacations at some point in time, right? Do you take your bike with you or bikes with you on your non-cycling vacations? Like, you weren't going there to do an event. Like, do you take your bike with you?
If I can, it's great. It all depends what I'm doing.
Okay.
I've been really fortunate too. Is my stepfather is Dominican.
Okay.
So a few years ago, in between jobs, I brought my bike to the Dominican Republic and I rode around for about a month.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. It's also really weird.
Okay.
Mostly because the family sent a guy on a motorcycle who had to go stretches ahead of me just to keep for protection purposes.
Oh, okay. Wow. That would have been a bit... That's another thing to have to think about while on a ride. Kind of thing. Different countries, different things that are going on. Yeah.
Especially living in situ.
Yeah.
But I still have a couple Queen of the Mountains still. Though, I am some people are now following me from the Dominican Republic, and like I watch every once in a while, and they're like, they like my ride, and they've been trying to get for this big climb that leads from this town in the Highlands. So
okay,
but yeah, if I can bring a bike, heck yeah, it would be great. Do I need to? No,
okay. You can live without taking the bike on the trip.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I went 2 weeks ago. I was at a trade show in Orlando. Mm-hmm. I lived 4 days without a bicycle.
Okay.
It was okay.
You didn't feel like I should be riding right now? Was there any pull of like I should have brought the fucking bike?
It would have been nice to have had a bicycle to do more stuff, but
you were okay.
We walked.
Okay.
I was busy. It was okay. I read a book.
Okay. Oh, wow.
It's also okay to like do other things too.
Okay.
Being active doesn't mean you always have to have your bicycle with you.
Some may disagree.
Do some squats. Like, figure out some other stuff that, can get you over the hump. Like,
there are other activities that can be done other than cycling to stay active. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's also, you're doing those vacations, you're probably doing it to spend time doing stuff for yourself. Right.
You're spending time with, right. It doesn't have to be, yes, I understand. It doesn't have to be about the bike doesn't have to be everything. You could be doing the vacations clearly you're going to spend time with family, do other things, work, other things to focus on.
And there are people there and they have different expectations too. And, you got to balance what their expectations of you are and yours of theirs. And
communication is great. It's proven useful. how did the pandemic affect your cycling habits or tendencies or anything like that, if at all?
I'll tell you, like, I felt like I was going to the mountains a little bit more before the pandemic. I think the pandemic kind of made me like my house a lot more, and kind of I like to hibernate a little bit more than I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gave me a chance to spend more time in my backyard, garden, do some home projects that I like to do. But yeah, I mean, I didn't spend as much time in the mountains as I would have. And when I did, I was mostly at Massanutten because a friend of mine lives there. Okay. So.
Okay.
I'm a mountain person. I don't beach a lot.
Okay. You like the mountains to hike as well as ride?
I don't really like to hike.
Okay, so
I mean, I can pretend, and I'll do it for other people, but like it's just so slow.
It is slower way to get through the mountains.
Oh my god!
Like by bike, yes.
And all I do is think about, which line would I take?
That's problematic.
It's exhausting.
Do you normally ride? Do you prefer to ride with groups or like solo? It's a mix of each. Like what's your
I'm actually. It's funny is I think a lot of people think I'm really outgoing or whatever, but I think I actually do better in just small groups. Like I like one-on-one or like just a small group of people versus like big groups. Like I kind of sit on the outside if there's too big of a group. I mean, I'm very fine playing outgoing in bigger groups. But I feel most comfortable with just in smaller groups.
Okay. All right. So that answered the pandemic.
Especially for riding too, because like sometimes I don't trust people. Like I don't like to ride. When I learned to ride road bike, and this is a tangent, but I learned to road bike when I was in California, and we used to practice pace lining all the time. Like it was part of a big group ride out of San Diego. You practiced and you got real good at it and everything else. Like you come here and nobody practices at pace lining, and you're like, people are hitting brakes and they stop, pedaling whenever they feel like it, like when they're coasting. Like nobody did that. Like that was forbidden. So like I just have a hard time like trusting a lot of people in a group.
And that is a legit concern. Particularly a larger group. If you got a long group of people who are pace line or just riding to get like, if one person does a thing, the next person behind them then like responds, and then the next person responds a little bit more, and the next person responds a little bit more. And you don't know. I mean, you hopefully know the people, but you don't know who's going to be a little bit distracted.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I mean, a number of years ago, I used to do the Union Market ride. It was on Sundays out of the Union Market.
Brew Crew. Road ride.
It was a road ride.
Yeah. Brew Crew.
But I was even terrible. Like I just never would ride anyone's wheel. I just kind of sat in the back and complained, and like hope somebody came and drafted me. But I mean, when they do the sprint sections, it's like, I am not next to you people. Like I'd be real picky.
Yeah.
And I remember people would be like, no, you're doing it wrong. You got to soft pedal and get behind people. Nah, I'd rather be exhausted like at the end of this ride because like I'd ride by myself then.
There is a thing of learning clearly the groups, the people that might show up for the ride, and like, okay, this person's going to be a little squirrely. This person's going to look at their bike computer a little too much. And then this other person is going to, be super focused. And when they get on the front, they're going to ride for like way longer than anybody else,
I love those people. I mean, those are the people we like after the ride, you just hug and you're like, thank God we went to sit behind you.
I think I think about that if I'm riding with some people, and there are people that I've ridden with, and I know if they get on the front, they get in whatever zone it is, and they just stay in the front until you call them off of the front. And I have to think about, do I want to let this person just like stay in the front for 20 miles, or do I want to like
yes
tell them to share the load kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no, I work together with people all the time.
Either way, but yes, it is good to be concerned about the other riders you're with and how do you feel riding with them, kind of thing.
Yes, I've had a big crash. That was on your questions.
It is, you know, and tell me about your crash, and I'll follow that up with something else.
I was at the top of Wintergreen, and I was on a mountain bike.
Okay.
On freshly asphalted road, and the sign that said freshly asphalted road was the opposite direction. It wasn't swept as well as it could have been. It was a direct descent, so it was we were going down probably about a 10% grade, like right at the top.
Yeah.
And I felt like the bike actually rolling on top of the asphalt, and I thought I could make it to the grass and roll it.
Yeah.
I didn't make it because I hit, sometimes when they asphalt roads, they leave like a little bit of a water main or some type of metal fixture or the access point.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
The asphalt goes around it. So I hit one of those. I literally thought I was going to make it to the grass, but either way, I dragged my shoulder on the road, and my head hit the road, and the helmet didn't break. Okay. But it did knock me out, and I did have like 2 layers of my head on the asphalt. So what I learned was Wintergreen, for anyone who like rides at Wintergreen, they give you a free ambulance ride. They give you a choice of Augusta or UVA.
Hopefully people don't have to exercise that.
Yeah.
How long were you out of commission, or were you just riding the next day? You weren't riding.
Oh,
the next day.
No. I mean, like, I didn't have shoulder skin. Like, I still have gravel on my shoulder. It's like my only tattoo. They're like, people are like, hey, what tattoos do you have? I'm like, I've got gravel. And I still have a knot in my head where every once in a while it gets it gets colder.
Okay.
Than in the rest of my head.
Interesting.
But
less there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went afterwards, was at the hospital for a while. I had a good friend pick me up, and we had to go back and get my stuff. And I had a dog at the top of Wintergreen because we're at somebody's condo, and my emotional support dog for anytime you're injured. So we took pictures, like my blood was all over the street. That's what you do. We got pizza too. It was good.
I hope the pizza was great.
The pizza great. Dr. Ho's humble pie is delicious. It's one of my favorite places. But yeah, like it was a bad injury, and you couldn't sweat for a while. You can't do anything. You're just literally regrowing large patches of skin.
Yeah. And
I think I also did I think I maybe fractured a rib as well. I can't remember that part as nearly as well as like. Just growing back skin sucks. Like, you can't even wear bras. It's like you're wearing like strapless bras all the time, which is like just not comfortable. You're like, do I sweat or not sweat? Like, how does this work? Everything, it's like hard to sleep. God, that was terrible.
Eventually you healed up.
Yeah.
Did you feel squeamish about riding, or you just got back on the bike? It's like, no effect at all. Like, what was there? Did you think about the accident after the accident?
I don't. I will tell you to this day, I struggle with fast descents, like going down Reed's Gap, going down, anything from the Parkway down, past Wintergreen or anything else, like big long descents. Like, I don't like going over 30 miles an hour. I prefer not to.
Okay. One of those
I like my brakes.
Brakes are fantastic.
I like sitting up and using as much body resistance as possible. Especially in skinny tires. I'm a little bit better on a mountain bike.
The skinnies have clearly less grip. So yeah.
Which is funny because actually, so you're asking, well, how long did it take you to get back on the bike?
Yeah.
I was supposed to do the SM100 that year, and I was actually fit. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I actually missed it because I wasn't really well healed.
Okay.
but I was encouraged to do cyclocross. And so I tried cyclocross, and I've been doing it ever since. But I can't dismount. I always dismount on the wrong side. When you're doing cyclocross, you're supposed to dismount on the non-drive side. That way you don't like get your clothing caught or your foot caught on the drive side.
Oh, right. When you fully come off the right. Okay,
Yeah, not me. I'm on the other side. And it's because of my injury and being able to hold the bike a certain way.
If you dismount the drivetrain side.
Yeah, and I'm not going to correct it. And honestly, now it's just funny because people are like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming."
But that's just so you don't end up like hitting your chain and your gears and stuff like that, right? That's why you would dismount on the non-drivetrain side, right? It's not anything else. Okay.
Unless there's something else I'm not thinking of, but that's what I've always been told.
I would think that. I mean, yeah, there may be some other. Well, if anyone hears this and they have some other reason to dismount on the drivetrains, the non-drivetrain side, I'd love to know. But it seems like just not hitting the gears. That's what I would.
There's more stuff going on. Can you imagine jumping off your bicycle and like messing with the drivetrain and flying? It just sounds like a mess.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be
break a chain, hit a barrier, be messy.
I think of the injury. I think immediately of like the cassette hitting me in the calf or something like that. Like that's.
Oh yeah, that's a painful one.
Let's not do that. Just not do cross.
Or can you imagine? Or can you imagine getting the bike grease on your calf and people knowing that you're not qualified?
If there's more than 10 people on the ride, I think somebody's got grease on their calf.
That's usually me. It's usually me.
And you know what? That's just a sign that you're a cyclist. That's how I take that. If there's grease on your calf, from the crank or whatever, like they're just they're just a rider. That's it.
And how embarrassing is it also like in the summertime where you're like, you think you're like a normal person, you shower regularly, and then you're like, all of a sudden you look at the back of your calf and you're like, oh my God, I know how to shower. Like I've been an adult for a good portion of my life, and like I can't figure out how to shower. That's never happened to me all the time.
That happens occasionally when I wear skirts, but it's not that bad.
Well, it's easy to wear a skirt in the summertime when you're a girl. You just throw that thing on. You're like, and it's great for changing. You take your bibs off and you got a skirt right there. It's like, it's so handy.
It's nice.
The real benefit of being a girl in the summertime and changing.
My friend John's got, I don't know what this thing is called, but it's like a I don't know if it's a robe
kilt or the
it's like something, but it's like full body, and I know he'll put that on and he'll change. And I remember him talking to years ago when he first got this thing, and I've seen him quite often. He'll put this, and it looks like a robe that he puts on, and then he'll change, and then like he takes it off. He's got his clothes on.
I am convinced at some point that most of the cycling community has seen my rear end at some point, whether or not it's in the wilderness, like, or, having to go somewhere, like, it's fine.
As long as you're okay with it.
I mean, like, I change in my car an awful lot. I mean.
That is a thing I have not.
Oh, it's great.
Mastered. That's the thing I've not gotten to. And you know what? My dad used to run quite a bit. And he always had like a change of clothes in the car, like because he would run so often. He had like
of course 5
pairs of shoes were just in the car because he would change in the back. He had a minivan.
Well, that's right. Like luxurious,
right? That's great. And that's the thing I just not tried, and it ends up meaning that after a ride I normally go home because I don't have a change of clothes, and I don't think to bring them until I don't change in the car. I think I probably changed in the car twice. I think I've changed the car twice, and one of them was the Heart of Virginia.
Oh my goodness. So like I roll up to Monster Cross and I literally talk to the car next to me. I'm like, excuse me, do you mind if I will be apologetic here, but like I'm going to change my car. Like I'm not rolling anywhere to like with my full kit on. I mean, if it's at least 45 minutes to an hour, I either have to be in the car or wait for. No, I'm going in my clothes that way I don't forget it. I gotta put that thing on.
Yeah.
They were fine.
Okay.
You just pretend not to look. It is fine.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that it's not fine. It's just, it's a good skill to have, to change in your own car after a ride. Because I've learned from a number of people, like, it's not a good idea to stay in your kit for super long, especially after you've done a ride. Like, it can be problematic staying in for an exceptionally long time.
Yes. There's lots of things we should take care of our undercarriage at all times. It's very important.
Do you use chamois cream?
Of course.
See, and that's my thought, of course. But I continue to meet people just like, I never use chamois cream.
They just don't know yet. They've never had the...
Right. They've never had that horrible chafe. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to use chamois cream all the time.
It's not even that. Like, what chamois cream do you use?
Originally used These Nuts.
I love it. I use it so much. I prefer These Nuts over the Bliss.
But now I use, is it nut butter? It's in the purple and yellow container. Yeah, that seems to be chill.
Yeah, so you don't like you're moving away from the tea tree oil inside your chamois cream.
Yeah,
you don't like the tingle as much.
No. Yeah, there's a special area that stuff can go into, and if it gets out of that area, it becomes super hot. And nope, I didn't want to deal with that anymore. So
see, when I started using it like there was a brand called Brave Soldier.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually I would prefer tingly versus non-tingly.
Really?
Chamois
Okay.
cream.
Brave Soldier. I feel like I have to look that up now.
Yeah, I don't know if they make them anymore. Like, you could be able to get it at the bike shop in Charlottesville, but then you could buy it at Nordstrom's, believe it or not. I don't know.
It could be stocked in many places.
But right now it's These Nuts.
I tried These Nuts.
You should try Bliss because it's still the nice cream, but it's actually not the as much of the antiseptic than tea tree oil.
Okay.
I mean, granted, they market it to women, but I think it's fine because, like,
they may have a male version of it or something like that. Maybe.
No. I think, you just get the Bliss one.
Okay, it's just the one. Okay.
Yeah, I think they just have those two flavors.
Yeah, we'll call it that. 2 flavors.
Varieties.
Okay. Yeah, let's go with varieties. Yeah.
Strengths. But they're actually marketed specifically for male or female, but that's not really.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it matters.
I'll certainly look because I found the first brand of These Nuts because when I started I looked at bicycling.com and they had a bunch of them that they recommended and I was like, this is too funny, so I will get the one right. But then the other one that I use, I think is it nut butter, buttercream?
Butt butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the purple and yellow. I think that was an economical and enough recommendations of this one's a good all around ish kind of thing, right? Although it's not made for if you have a burn, if you have a chafe, to reapply. I know some that have, if you get a chafe, then you can apply the chamois cream after, and it will help with a chafe. The nut butter or whatever it's only for before a ride, not for after to help with anything. So
I think that the longer you ride and the more you have to be creative, the more you learn.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, oftentimes too, if you are at a pinch and you need to get rid of some chafing, use stick deodorant.
Ooh.
Because if you think about it, at least why do I say that is, think about women shaving if they shave their armpits.
Mm-hmm.
So specifically, I say it not because for women's armpits in particular, sure. Because there's, once you shave and get rid of the bumps, they have stuff in women's deodorant to help those bumps. There's a lot of interesting hacks that people have kind of developed over time, and you just kind of go with it.
I would not have thought of that. I shall keep that one in mind and hopefully never need to use it. What do you take with you on a ride? Let's say it's I like to separate because there's there's like 40 miles and then there's like 90-mile ride. Like, what do you take if you're going to do like a 40-minute ride, or no, I'm sorry, 40-mile-ish or shorter kind of ride? Like, what do you like to take with you outside of like your helmet and coolie shoes?
Food.
Okay.
I mean, like, you definitely need a multi-tool. You need to be able to, fix some stuff if it breaks. Like, you need, like, depending on what bike you've got. I mean, like, it's always nice to have like a chain link, some plugs. I think most of my bikes have orange steel in them.
Okay.
They're tubeless.
Okay.
So being able to handle a puncture.
Okay.
An air. Fixing stuff.
Okay.
Food.
What's your food choices?
Usually, I mean, like, I'll pretty much eat anything.
Okay.
The easiest go-to is like bringing a gel and a Cliff Bar.
Okay.
I've started trying Noon.
Okay.
I don't mind those. I like
the tablets.
The tablets. I like the fruit punch.
Okay.
When I typically don't do a lot of sugar.
Okay.
When I ride.
Okay.
But if I'm doing a race, there's a good chance that I'll have like water and a Camelback or in a bottle, and then like one of like super strong sugary like Gatorade. Man, will that make you fly?
Enjoying the sugar boost. Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious, yeah.
Do you have a flavor of Cliff Bar that you prefer, or just like all of them are acceptable?
I don't like all of them as much. Honestly, I'll get the ones at Costco because I just hate going grocery shopping. I mean, if it wasn't for milk, like, I would pretty much not go to a grocery store, like.
Okay.
And I avoid them still, mostly.
Okay. Snacks. Strava. Have you always used Strava? When did you start using that? Are you looking at your segments and things like that? You clearly are looking at segments because you're Dominican Republic.
Yeah. A really long time. I think we were looking at this. So my girlfriend has named me on Strava, and that's why we keep it there. It's a terrible name.
I've seen the name. Yeah.
But it's kind of a joke. And last time we were talking about it, she's like, yeah, you should totally leave it like that. No, I've had it for well over 10 years.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. Don't even remember how long, but I've had a number of Garmins. They seem to like die after every 4 years or something.
That's a good time to replace a Garmin. Like, there's definitely a newer model that's come out by 4 years that you can it'll a huge enough upgrade by 4 years.
I don't need an upgrade. I just want I don't want change to happen. Well, the thing is, I'm not doing it why do I have it? I'm not doing term by term directions typically. Okay. I've done that once or twice and it's just doesn't do it.
Okay.
What I want to know is I want to know my speed. I want to know the distance. I want to know the time because I stopped wearing a watch you asked me about COVID.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped wearing a watch during COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still can't figure out how to get the Apple Watch connected to Zwift. I've done it multiple times. I've followed the instructions. Like, it just blows up, the connection.
Okay.
I want to know the elevation.
Okay.
Like, when I'm out in the mountains, I don't think about how far I need to go.
Okay.
I just think about what's the elevation, what's the top of that mountain. Like, it's not how much time it's going to be there. It's not how many miles. It's when am I going to get to 4,600 feet of climbing.
Okay.
Like, most of the peaks out there are in the 3,000 to 4,000 range. So when am I going to get there?
So you're keeping track of elevation so you can figure out when you're going to get to the top of this thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's how I mentally play that game.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah. There's a feature on your Garmin. What kind of Garmin do you have?
520, I think.
520. Okay.
Or 510.
Maybe not the 510 or 520. there's a thing called the Climb Pro feature, and it will I don't know how it works if it was like for off road though, but for on the road, it will figure out like, oh, you're on this road, and it will, particularly if you put in a route, it will tell you all the climbs that are on that route, like that have been kind of tracked. But it will tell you, you'll see like a graph of what the climb is, and you'll kind of see yourself progressing along that climb and how much further you have on that climb. But it's the Climb Pro feature, I believe, that's on there. I don't know. I don't think I would work with the 510 or the 520. I don't believe.
I mean, if I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna figure out like it's too late to look at the climb while you're out there. Like, it's great before, but if I really wanted to know where I was gonna go, I would look at that profile before. Like in the middle of it, man, I'm stuck.
Yeah, you got to do it anyway.
I got to do it anyway, and I'm either gonna go up or down. I mean, most of the places where I go, like you kind of can figure out, where you are and what peak and like. Yeah. Are you going to go up? Or are you going to go down? But yeah, so, I mean, sometimes I struggle even just to navigate the darn thing and, to get it to upload to my phone. Like that was the big, I mean, I remember when you actually had the Garmin's and you had to like connect it to your like computer and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Now it like syncs to a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just come in the house and it connects to Wi-Fi, and then like my ride just uploads. Yeah.
The worst is a few years ago I was actually doing a monster cross race, and there was a woman who was particularly quick who before we even left, she had her Garmin was uploaded, and she like stole every Queen of the Mountains. So we were like on Strava, like everything got trashed. I was like. I wrote her a quick little note. Congratulations on your ride. It was wonderful. This is what happened. And I'm like, next time when you're doing a race and you do that well, mind uploading it like later in the day. So like after everyone has left. Nothing like finishing and like seeing your Strava sending you all these notifications and emails like you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. But it was funny. She actually got a kick out of that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. But yeah, it does definitely let you know you lost that Queen of the Mountain or King of the Mountain. There's also local legends.
Oh yeah.
And there's a road that I've gotten a notification. I was a local legend on 2 roads near here, and I've gotten a notification about you're no longer the local legend.
Oh
you're no longer
yeah.
the legend kind of thing. But then I thought, like, do I just need to just go, like, and just ride the road repeatedly to just, like, secure that? But that it's, like, every 90 days, it, like, reassesses who's ridden it the most. So it's kind of a moving target of, like, so you lose a local legend eventually.
Well, and it's also a race on who uploads it fastest. Because this past race I did this past weekend, I got a local legend and, a whole bunch of, Queen of the Mountains and whatever else, and then I just was the first person downloaded first, and then everyone else came in and like we did the same number of laps.
Right, then you'll have it first. Yeah, they won't debunk you until they do more. Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, I have to keep that in mind. I need to upload my rides faster.
I do think it's funny that, or not funny, but I do notice that. You can be doing the same ride as somebody else, and it won't capture all of the segments the same way. So it was really kind of unfortunate. So when Jessica and I did going back to Greenbrier, or the Greenbrier Trail, going from where we started, whatever town it was, into Cass, which is in West Virginia, we rode together.
Yeah.
But I got the Queen of the Mountain on like a 75-mile like segment, and she was with me the whole time, and she actually was faster, and she got to the end fastest. Yeah. And it didn't even register for her, so I was like kind of heartbroken, and I was like, yes. Sorry, Jessica.
I had that happen when I did the icicle bicycle ride for RAB, which is like a fundraising ride for. Souls for Souls, I think is the thing, and for Bikes for Kids. But that was last weekend when it was super windy. Did the ride. Everyone else on the ride got segments, going all the way up to Ashland. And I remember doing it super fast. It was windy. I was like, I know I did some. Either I come home, had the ride and uploaded, but I got no segments. It said no segments at all on the entire ride.
That's crazy.
I ended up I had to upload it again, and that's when it pulled in all the segments. But I was on the website trying to match the segments, and I said to re-upload the ride in order to get all my segments.
Well, I do notice downtown, there's a couple areas where if you're on the James River Park Service trails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think specifically on the part of the trail called Buttermilk, you can actually ride the road, and sometimes it captures the road, the parallel road on Riverside Drive, as the trail.
Ooh, okay.
So there's some weirdness every once in a while.
It can't be perfect. It can't be.
But it's
perfect.
fun,
right?
And I think it's definitely fun looking back at some of the accomplishments. And I've actually looked back in the past year of, I guess. 2013 was a year I was quick. There was a couple years in particular, I was really super quick.
Okay.
2008, 2013, there was some past couple years, but just doing some really crazy rides. There used to be a XXC mountain bike course at Massanutten, which makes no sense to you, but the western slope of Massanutten is they have a significant number of mountain bike trails. Okay. But they're super aggressive, and it's either you're going straight up, you're going straight down, and there's rocks everywhere. But there used to be part of a course where you didn't even know where you were. You did a loop that was off of a ridge, and just seeing the times of how fast some of the girls were in 2000, or myself in 2013. It's weird to kind of gauge it. Yeah. Where we are today. I mean, super crazy technical, fun stuff, but very fast.
And abilities change over time,
And bikes change and all kinds of stuff. And I think there's definitely a movement towards more fast and flowy stuff.
Okay. What's your earliest memory of riding a bike?
Legit is when we got Schwinn bikes for our Christmas. I think I was probably 12, but that same weekend, I flipped it. I went endo, and it hit the back of my head, and there was blood gushing out. Okay. I don't know. I didn't do a lot of riding bicycles as a kid. It's just we didn't do that in our neighborhood. I mean, we did other things makeup sports, and there wasn't just a lot of bicycle riding.
Okay. And it's not expected that just because you ride a bunch now that you would always be riding, kind of thing. There's a bunch of people who just they didn't pick up a bike, or it didn't become a regular thing until they're late. And I've met a few people who's I've always been on a bike. I've always been riding a bike all the time, kind of thing.
I mean, and there's periods of time, when I lived in Colorado, I didn't ride a ton. Yeah. I mean, I swam. I ran. Okay. There wasn't a lot of mountain biking. I could kind of road ride every once in a while, but it wasn't something I was passionate about at the time. It just, I would go ski and swim and do some other stuff.
You had other activities. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And that's acceptable.
Oh, are you sure? Yeah. I feel you judging me now.
A little bit.
Fair enough. I'm okay.
Who taught you how to ride a bike?
I don't know. I'm sure it's a parent. Okay. I think that's just kind of what parents probably should do if they're not doing it already.
You'd hope.
You definitely hope. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess as a kid we had big wheels, and then we probably had a kid
Okay. I tend to ask because I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, now that I think about it too, is though there is a picture from my childhood of me on a a bicycle with a banana seat. So I guess I did have bikes before then. I just didn't know it.
You didn't think about it. It's just a bike. Yeah. You didn't think too deeply about it at the time. What's something that you're aware of now, that you would have wanted to share with yourself when you started riding, like when you first started riding, that first got that mountain bike, like what's something you're aware of now that you would have wanted to have shared with yourself then?
It's okay to be competitive.
Okay.
With it.
Okay.
I started cycling kind of late. I look at girls now and they're like, I actually have a friend who's in her 30s, and she's kind of, sometimes I think she struggles a little bit with like, how competitive she should be because she wants to be fast and really good and at an elite, very, very elite level.
Yeah.
I wish I knew a little bit earlier, like it's okay to be competitive and if you want to be.
Right.
Like, don't feel bad for it.
Okay.
It's okay. Just ride your whatever you want to ride as fast as you want to ride or as slow as you want to ride. Don't worry about what other people think or stepping on toes or anything else. Just do it and be nice.
Okay. Do what's in your heart.
But I think one of the nice things about cycling too is you end up meeting a lot of people. Yep. And opportunities open itself up, and just go with them.
Did you think you'd meet all the people? Like, did you think that would come along with the riding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, you don't go into opening it, but I think it's, when you find a bunch of like-minded people, you kind of lean into it a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I've gone cross-country with a friend of mine who, like, I met at a race. Like, hey, cool, we've got bikes. Let's just throw in the car and we'll just drive cross-country. Okay, it's fine. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you don't know all the people you're going to meet, who are also into it the same as the similar ways as you are. Do you have a favorite kit?
I do like.
Or I should say, do you have like two favorite kits or something like that? Right? So you don't have to narrow.
No, I'm really struggling with my kit love.
Okay.
I do like my new nudie kit, which I think is funny. 3 of us were on Poshmark and found brand new Betty design kits that are about flesh tone. Or they will be in the summertime, like when you get a tan. But they're kind of pinkish too. That's my new kind of fun thing, especially because it's just crazy.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I thought you needed to match when you go ride bicycles. I don't think you do. But I do like skin suits.
Yeah.
I just think it's just so much easier when the top matches the bottom and your shirt isn't like hanging around.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to find kits that are comfortable.
Okay.
Especially if you're a chick, because there's so many guy sizes and they're trying to fit unisexed and so far. But I will tell you, the specialized women's bibs shorts are nice because they have a magnetic clip and you can go to the bathroom.
The magnetic clips on. Okay.
Going to the have access to the bathroom is very important when you're a woman.
I think that will be a useful thing to have, because yes, it does seem like there's a bit more work.
And I think bib shorts are more important than not bib shorts.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you always been bib shorts?
No.
Okay. You've occasionally been just the regular shorts.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember a time when you like changed? Was there a moment where you were like, oh crap, like bib shorts are amazing, or is it just a slow transition to using more bib shorts?
It's within the last probably like 7 or 8 years. The reason why I say that is I used to be on a grassroots mountain bike team for Gary Fisher.
Okay. I feel like I've heard that name again.
Yeah, it was called the 2-Niner Crew. Okay. And then when Trek bought Gary Fisher, it lasted for another couple of years. Oh, hello, Alexa. You got a package.
Hopefully.
My
co-host.
And I remember getting a whole bunch of kits that were cute, but I'd never used the bib shorts. Like, so I knew it.
Okay.
At least when I moved from Colorado to Virginia, I was not wearing bib shorts.
Okay.
But then I started. I am now.
You're now converted.
I'm now converted.
Okay.
I've got one pair of shorts that are not.
Okay. Yeah, I recall. I remember somebody was like, "Yeah, bib shorts are way more comfortable," and I remember wearing shorts all the time when I first started, and I was like, "No, I don't want the." I think what happens, I bought a pair of bib shorts that were a bad fit, and they like cut into my shoulders.
Oh,
and
that's
so I was
terrible.
like, "Yeah, nope, I'm not going to try those." But I'm pretty sure they were like a cheap pair from like Amazon or like from some like really low brand or something like that. And they just didn't fit well, so I didn't try them again.
I'm always amazed why, like, at some point, like, when your undercarriage hurt, like, or, like how easy it is to fit, like, not getting like, how important it is to get a really good pair of shorts. It's super important. Or, like, or trying multiple saddles. Like, girls in particular, like, there is a saddle for them, but, like, you're never told, like, you just kind of suck it up because you're like, oh, it's a bike, or I didn't spend a lot of money on it, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Girls will sit on the worst saddle ever, and then they'll stop riding, but then they, like, it could have been fixed in an instant.
Yeah.
Or a chamois cream. Like, there's always these little things that you forget to do. I'm always amazed by that.
I think, yes, I'm sure there's other people that like don't continue cycling because they sit on the bike and it's uncomfortable and potentially don't put in the effort to get a new saddle, or don't even know that's an option to get a new saddle to make that area more comfortable, kind of thing. Or to think about, you'll not grow into it, it's not the right word, but like there's a little bit of discomfort if you're not used to it, and then you adjust. Right? And I know people don't get over that hurdle. Like, it's like, nope, it's uncomfortable, I'm done after this.
Now that we're being nostalgic, I do remember at one point buying a road bike. It was a Jamis road bike, and my first ride out, like, that was of any long distance, like, it was one of the few times I did probably have a meltdown, and it hurts, and I don't like hurting, like, because the saddle wasn't right, and I just had spent all of this money that I didn't have on a bicycle, and I'm like I'm a grad student, like, this hurts, and like I don't like road biking, I hate it, and but it was a simple fix, and I didn't put 3 and 7 together and like, oh, it's 10, whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't add up.
You're definitely not alone in that. You're definitely not alone in like, I could have fixed this thing with a small adjustment kind of thing. In fact, none of my bikes have their original saddles on them, except for yeah, actually all of my bikes have the same saddle because I changed them all. Even the kicker, the spin bike even has I even changed the saddle on that one because I like my ass. So
I mean, when I used to do the 24-hour races, what I also noticed too is, after a period of time just being on the bicycle that long or for longer periods, is by the end of the race I actually had to nose the saddle down a little bit, just to give a different feel and move muscles in a different way. But hey, when things are hurting, there's just little tweaks, and you're just able to own those.
Okay. And hopefully somebody will, even though I think most people listening to this is like preaching to the choir, I think they're already pretty committed cyclists, but maybe there's somebody somewhere who's going to hear this and be like, you know what, I could move my saddle a little.
Or it's just reminding people that it's okay.
Right.
I mean, like, it's okay to talk about it, like, to the newbies and be like, okay, so it's a saddle issue, or your cleat's in the wrong spot if it doesn't move the right way, or don't wear your underwear with your chamois. literally, I had another conversation about that. We were talking about that the other day, but so I had a conversation about that with somebody that she insists on it, and it's like, dude, no.
Is it a matter of like they don't feel anyway? I'm sure you gave them the education, kind of thing.
But I mean, like, I guess the net is like, let's not forget even the newbies, like, just those little pieces of advice. If it's hurting, hey man, there's somebody who's out there who's going to fix it for you.
There's options. There are options that can usually resolve whatever the issue is. A bike fit can go a long way. Because your bike is already probably pricey. Why not make it comfortable? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think along with that, I mean, you talked about you have some knee issues from overuse. Protect those knees, protect those limbs.
Right. So
I mean, you're invincible until you're not. Yeah. And that's so hard.
Yeah. Well, Denelle, I would like to thank you for your time.
I'd like to thank you, Trey. This is great.
This has been fun. I'm sharing your story with the mountain biking. You're probably the most mountain bikey person that's been on the show so far. I think so. A few others have been half and half. Yeah. I think Jess was probably the closest. I think she does quite a bit of off road, but I think she's probably the closest to.
She does a lot of gravel.
Yeah. So, thank you for giving me a better perspective on off road stuff.
I can't wait for you to start mountain biking. It doesn't have to be hard. Baby steps.
Yes, we will see when that happens. Either way, maybe at some point, possibly, I will start the mountain biking, but I think I need to explore the gravel options more before I get into another type of riding.
Do you remember, it's like when it gets too hot to be on that road or too hot to be on that exposed gravel, it's nice and comfortable under the shade. Yeah,
I will keep that in mind. But I can handle the heat quite well. I've ridden in several 90-degree days. I can handle the heat. Yeah, I can handle the heat. But either way, thank you for your time.
Come to the dark side.
Either way, thank you, Denelle.
Yeah, thank you.